Sustainable Development Goals (SDGs) or global goals are a collection of 17 interlinked global goals designed to be a blueprint to achieve a better and more sustainable future for all. The SDGs were set up in 2015 by the United Nations General Assembly and are intended to be achieved by 2030. Here, we focus on SDG 1, No Poverty. That is, it aims to end poverty in all its forms. The No Poverty SDG has 7 targets and several indicators that are directed towards achieving this goal. We are going to propose policies to achieve the No Poverty Sustainable Development Goal by 2030. For this, we should first understand what is poverty and who are the poor. On the official website of United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, extreme poverty is identified as living on less than $1.25 a day. A simple currency conversion would tell you that this amounts to living on less than 95 rupees and 41 paise a day. An appropriate figure, however, is generated using a purchase power parity converter, and this figure is 27 rupees and 50 paise a day. In India, however, there are 2 different poverty lines for people living in rural and urban areas. This method of poverty estimation, as pioneered by Tendulkar Commission, is based on the amount of calorie that a human being needs to consume in rural and urban areas. The present poverty line stands at 26 rupees a day in rural areas and 32 rupees a day in urban areas. Apart from this, each state in India has their own poverty line, with the poverty line of Odisha being the lowest at rupees 23 a day for rural areas and rupees 29 a day for urban areas. This different poverty line for each state is because people identified as poor by the state government and by the central government get different benefits from the center and the state government. Now that we have understood what is poverty, we move on to the present poverty trends of India, Odisha and Sundargarh. The percent of people living below the poverty line in India has been decreasing at almost a constant rate. We hope that with the implementation of our policies, this percentage would go to 0 by 2030. We should also note that India is expected to achieve the No Poverty SDG by 2030, even with the COVID-19 setbacks and without the intervention of our policies. The decline in poverty rate in India is due to the many policies that the government have implemented over the past years. Some of these policies are the Integrated Rural Development Program in 1978, the Annapurna Scheme in 1999, the famous Manrega in 2005, and we hope that our policies would be implemented in the future as well. Moving on to the case of Odisha. With 32.59% of its population below the poverty line, Odisha ranks 6th from the bottom among all states of India in terms of poverty. The situation of Sundargarh is even worse, with 65.2% of population living below the poverty line and 89.8% of households with the highest earning member earning less than 5,000 rupees per month. It is one of the poorest districts of the state. We just said that India is set to achieve the No Poverty SDG by 2030. So what is the problem? India or Sundargarh has poverty now, but it won't after 2030. What more do we need? The answer to these questions would be clear after we understand some economics jargons and concepts. The first concept is the idea of an S-curve. We plot the income of an individual today on x-axis and their income tomorrow on y-axis. Now we draw the x equals y line for reference. This line indicates that the future income of the individual would be equal to the present income. The individual is trapped in the poverty zone if his present income is less than that at point P. Their income may increase, but it will fall back again. That is, the individual is trapped in a poverty zone. But if the present income of an individual is pushed beyond the point P, they get out of the poverty trapped zone. Most of the schemes that are in action presently fail to push people beyond this point P and hence in the long term fail to eradicate poverty. Next, we want to understand organized and unorganized sector. The organized sector is characterized by fixed and regular employment terms, while the unorganized sector has scattered work hours, income, and so on. In organized sector, people get fixed and regular source of income, while people working in unorganized sector have irregular and low sources of income. People in organized sector enjoy many other benefits such as health and life insurance, while people in unorganized sector enjoy no such benefits. Moreover, the organized sector is looked upon as a respectful endeavor by the society, while the unorganized sector has a bad social image. Now that we are done studying economics, we can move on to our first policy, which is based on the idea that a substantial and a sustainable income can help people escape the poverty trap. The first policy is called Jan Jami Yojana or J-Cube. The government will lease a piece of land to those below the poverty line for 8 years. For the first 4 years, no rent would be imposed for the land, but after 4 years, a nominal subsidized rent will be imposed. After the completion of 8 years, the beneficiary will have the option of buying or renting the land at market price. Many people below the poverty line do not have the skills or the capital to do farming, so the government will help them in this endeavor. First of all, the beneficiaries will be trained. More details on how this training will take place will be explained when we discuss the second policy. Seeds, manures, and fertilizers will be provided free of cost, and if the beneficiary wishes, the government will buy the produce at MSP. The beneficiary, however, will have no control over what they crop. Agricultural researchers will examine the land, and the beneficiaries will have to produce what the government asks them to. They will also have to adhere to the advised methodologies and services. The Panchayat will monitor that people are not deviating from the advised methodologies and crops. They will also make sure that any facility provided by the government, such as irrigation system, if damaged, is repaired immediately. After the completion of the first 4 years, the assistance provided by the government would go down. While the beneficiaries would still get seeds, manures, fertilizers, they would not get them for free but at a subsidized price. The benefits that the government will get from this policy are large too. The export of various types of yields will increase. India does not export a variety of food items presently, while it has the potential to do so. Nation's food security reserve will enhance as well. Government will also earn a substantial amount of money from the rent and the price of the land if the beneficiaries are willing to buy the land after the completion of 8 years. To summarize, the first policy consists of 3 phases. In the first phase, the beneficiaries are trained and are given full assistance by the government. They do not have to pay for anything using their own money. In the second phase, the beneficiaries will have to pay a subsidized rent and buy the inputs needed for agriculture at subsidized price. In the third phase, assistance by government would be lifted. The beneficiaries will have the option of either forfeiting, buying, or renting the land at market price. The government will still advise them to follow certain methodologies and plant certain crops, but they need not do it compulsorily anymore. Moving on to the second policy. The second policy proposes a method for organizing the unorganized sector and hence benefit the individuals who are presently working in the unorganized sector. The second policy is called Labor Organization Plan or LOP. The poorest among the poor in Sundargarh and throughout the nation are laborers, both agricultural and industrial. These laborers are scattered throughout the district. They work independently. We propose to organize the laborers throughout the district at the district LOP headquarters. At the headquarters, the laborers will be trained. For the training of laborers, we propose another sub-policy. There are many educated but unemployed young people. They will be sent for a short-term training. After they finish their training, they will be posted as trainers at the district headquarters. A monitoring system will check the work of these trainers. The state LOP headquarters will feed skilled teachers to train the beneficiaries. Whenever someone will need laborers, they'll approach the state headquarters with a request. Upon the demand, laborers with appropriate skills will be allocated. Proper payment will be made to the government. And with this money, all the laborers will be given a proper salary. The sub-policy that we talked about, which aims to train young people to act as trainers at the district LOP headquarters, needs a little more explanation. The state headquarters will provide skilled trainers to train the future trainers. These trainers will train and educate the laborers and will make them aware about labor rights. The skilled laborers will then be allocated to respective industries upon demand. A monitoring system will monitor the performance of laborers, proper implication of labor rights, and private hiring of laborers. It will ensure that no private hiring of laborers occur. Another monitoring system will check the first monitoring system and will also check that the trainers are properly educating people. Upon the evaluation of second monitoring system, the trainers will be given due compensation. With this, we conclude our presentation. Thank you for your time.